Aria Ingram's Diaries. In the previous episode, it is the year 3158, somewhere at the edge of the galaxies. The captain and his crew attempt to smuggle an artifact through an illegal trade corridor. The mission ends in failure when smugglers from Empton chase them down. The Archon manages to escape the asteroid belt, while the spies are pulled into a temporal anomaly. Not all is lost. The next destination, Hades, the most infamous smuggler's market in the galaxy. Chapter 2. Aria, Wake Up. First Glitch. Entry continued on the 55th day of the year 3158 in the new era, 10 a.m. Aria is pulled back into the past, to the year 3052 on Earth 1, in the Moonstone Galaxy.
The sound of a crying child. I heard it faintly, as if coming from outside. In front of me appeared a twin ship, as if I were looking at my own reflection in a mirror. It felt like a delusion, or a core malfunction. The main screen flickered, displaying columns of flashing text. Aria, wake up. It reminded me of something long forgotten. I knew that freedom had a price, and that price was the truth hidden within us. It must be carried through the galaxy until the breath of the universe transforms into a wave of peace. Yet freedom has a way of lulling us into complacency, which is why the most important task is to stand guard over the fate of free planets and their inhabitants. The screen kept flashing. Aria, wake up. I stood weakly on unsteady legs, feeling my energy drain. With the last reserves of my battery, I struggled to regain control. My balance sensors went haywire. I tried not to collapse. We were somewhere at the edge of another galaxy, wherever the Archon had taken us. Eagle and Everest sat slumped together, unconscious, their heads swaying like lilies floating on the surface of water. The Archon was moving at high speed, but we were slowly losing momentum, drifting into the unknown. A ship bearing Federation insignia stopped in front of us, gleaming in ceremonial colors. A woman in white stood on the bridge. Her presence suggested a diplomatic mission. Suddenly, in a massive zoom-in, I saw the name tag on the chest of the beautiful regal woman. It was Mary Twinkle. I felt it more than I saw it, as the image resembled hypnagogic patterns under closed eyelids. The white lady seemed to gaze directly at Captain Lee, who suddenly stirred and managed to cry out into the void. "Mary, stop them!" The captain was shouting like a sleepwalker lost in a dream. Then, an eerie silence fell over us. Only the sound of the ventilation system remained, a lonely signal of our existence in a galaxy full of mysteries. I collapsed limply onto the smooth, transparent slab of the floor. Beneath me, millions of stars shimmered, and I, drained of power, felt like I was the last fading star, drifting far from my mission's objective. The ventilation roared, and I felt as if a gust of wind swept through all my circuits. My emergency alert light blinked red, signaling the shutdown of all non-essential systems. My implant spoke inside my head. Vital functions normal, minimal load. Aria, wake up. It felt like a cruel joke. Then, everything went black. It could have lasted a fraction of a second or an hour. A wave of time, of an ocean, or perhaps just another anomaly washed over me. And suddenly, I was standing on a beach. I remember the scent of the ocean, carried by the wind. A light breeze slipped under my thin, breathable clothing, offering relief in the heat of the day. Earth felt like a bridge to infinity. A carefree childhood is the harbor we return to when we face danger in adulthood. Those who lack joy at the beginning of their lives may carry a deeper sense of abandonment. My mother used to say that. Now she stood above me in a wide-brimmed straw hat, draping a pink shawl over her shoulders. Megan? Yes, Mom? Be careful with the shells. You don't want to cut your feet. Okay, Mom, but these are just soft corals. Remember our underwater base? Sweetheart, stay here. You forgot your hydro boots. Watch your step and don't go too deep. Over the azure ocean, a rainbow-colored aurora stretched across the sky, carrying echoes from the distant shore. Two massive spheres shimmered in the water's reflection, their surfaces rippling in the waves. I pointed between the two moons, their color tinted red by the sun. In the distance, a Federation ship flickered on the horizon. Promise me that when I finish the next grade, we'll land on the other shore. Please, I begged, pressing my hands together in a plea. We'll see what the warm wind brings. It will guide us. Mom, at least promise we'll fly across the ocean. I want to see the unicorn reserve. Look, Megan, a unicorn. At least one. You have an ally. Let's stay quiet so we don't scare it away. It's probably under Federation protection. Mom, it's really a unicorn. Look at its shimmering rainbow mane. They are magnificent, but they're wild creatures. It could be startled, or it could be camouflage. Get back to playing. We need to finish the sandcastle before dinner. Tonight, marshmallow pancakes with strawberries, whipped cream, and mint. Yes, yes, Mom. I'm almost done. The breath of earth surrounded me, sparkling with millions of tiny lights. That day, we could feel the planet's incredible power, and we could immerse ourselves in it completely. My pupils widened, absorbing the dispersed grandeur of beauty. Other celestial bodies were like distant fruits, hanging beyond the boundaries of our paradise. We only knew the elements that had raised us. There was nothing more beautiful than the love of life. I thought of my father then, but I couldn't remember his face. Sadness welled up inside me, but I refused to let it take hold. I imagined that my father would return. After all, my mother was the most beautiful woman. He seemed too far away, or maybe he was deaf to our siren song. Perhaps he had drowned in the ocean of stars. Or maybe he was already following in our footsteps. I suddenly felt as if my father was near. I promised myself I would find him, even if it meant reaching the farthest edges of the galaxy. I picked up an old telescope, and through its glass eye, I saw Earth's capital. The horizon stretched in a wave of pastel colors. The peaks of Federation towers, research domes, flight hangars, settlements of allied species, majestic mountains in the distance, all of it forming a breathtaking landscape. Residential modules nestled together like flowers, covering hills and valleys overflowing with vibrant green. Emerald hills shimmered with the ocean's breath, bubbling with life-giving oxygen, rising into the sky like soap bubbles. Everything pulsed with an undeniable will to live, stronger than the pull of the darkest black holes. Earth's defense systems were stronger than any hostile force in the galaxy, or at least I believed so. If there was any religion, it was the worship of life itself. My mother and I never gave up. We were the bravest under the sun of suns. At that moment, the telescope completely absorbed my curiosity. From this distance, I could even observe a spaceship launching into the sky. It emerged from a canvas of natural colors, slowly rising toward the upper atmosphere. I thought that my father could be on a ship just like that. They said he was one of the best pilots and officers ever born on Earth. I believed he was as strong as we were here, on this beach. Maybe the Comians had captured him, or perhaps he was in hibernation somewhere in deep space. Maybe one day I would stumble upon him during my own captain's mission when I was older. Adults had their secrets. I wanted to uncover them all, immediately, even if it meant crossing every ocean at once. I believed that a woman's power can lead me to my father. I wanted to surprise my mother. Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to be a pilot. Yes, but only when you grow wings. Birds have remiges, you know. She laughed. First, you need to learn everything important on Earth before you can take off. When you feel your full strength, you can decide. Now, help me call Paris. He should be with Ithar. They might still be in the moon cave. I don't want them to get lost. They don't have a nav device. Mom, don't be like that. Every time someone goes to the cave, you start worrying. Why? They swim just fine. If anything, they'll just surface on the other side of the rocks. I prefer when Snowflake is with them. At least the dog would bark if something went wrong. But they like to play hide and seek with me, and I don't like it. They take unnecessary risks. As a mother, I'd rather keep them close, especially when the wind is picking up. The tide could flood the cave. It's no joke. Mom, let's just call them together. From my mother, I knew that awakening one's power meant gradually leaving behind technology and trusting in the life-giving force of light. In moments like these, my mother was overly protective, but she was wiser than us. She had experienced the force of life firsthand. That's how I came into this world. Children have open hearts. Adults forget that growing up is just the beginning of a journey they themselves once walked. When you're older, experience supports you, but it also limits you. Mary Twinkle was the best mother in the galaxy, or maybe even beyond. Some things you just know. My father was a cosmic hero, but I had to prove it. Then my mother blew into a pearl shell, sending out a low sound, pulling me out of my thoughts. Ithar, Paris? I hope they show up soon. I'd rather have them in sight, she said. Snowflake, heal, come back. Our husky tore off, barking, racing toward the towering pines, their aroma thick with resin. He must have been drawn by some other scent, though. Otherwise, he would not have left. From the ocean, a rainbow cloud began drifting toward us. We should head back to the forest, Mary said, trusting her motherly instincts. In a sudden flash of sunlight, I saw something between the trees. It could have been a telescope, crystals, or maybe even the boys. The unicorn is gone, just like the boys. We'll have to head back, so hurry up, sweetheart. Okay, Mom, just 2 more towers and it'll be done. My magnificent sandcastle was almost finished. I picked up my pink cup with the elf design, stretched it open to its full size, and built the last 2 towers to guard the moat. As I crouched, above the battlements, sunbeams tangled in the clouds, revealing purplish moon-like formations floating in the sky. They looked like enormous raspberry plantations, covered almost completely in fruits. I imagined that this was a pantry, full of desserts drifting toward my castle upon my command, a sky plantation. At that same moment, I saw dolphins, their high-pitched calls echoing between the granite sky and the foaming indigo waves, darkened by deep-sea plants, reacting to the shifting weather. Meteorologists' forecasts could not curb our longing for the ocean, but it was time to head back. We always knew when the ocean called us. My castle was built from several domes, both large and small, with a dozen towers surrounding it, all encircled by a moat. Inside there was a courtyard where I could sit and eat pistachios, tossing the shells onto the rooftops and the path leading to the castle. I imagined my family was safe and prosperous, and our fortress always carried us to places where we could play and ride unicorns, bathe in warm waters, explore caves, and climb the highest peaks. where we could witness sunrises and sunsets before anyone else. I glanced at the courtyard, where that morning the dog had left his giant paw print. Just in time, I had managed to push him away and save my castle. But in truth, I wanted someone to save me and my family, a hero I had never met. My sister Sharon had once again been sent to Earth 2 to study botany. Or at least, that's what I was told. I didn't know what could be more beautiful in the entire galaxy than the green homes on fertile lands. But if there was something, I had made up my mind to discover it. The idyllic afternoon was suddenly interrupted by the sound of alarm shells. Beachgoers scattered across the area started calling out to one another. Massive feathered clouds slowly swallowed the aurora. It was time to go home, to our Earthship. Biotecture was our home, at least in the capital where we lived. The Federation of Planets was our home too, and I couldn't leave the galaxy until I was at least 10 years old. But even if I could, my mother would have stayed on Earth anyway. She loved it more than anywhere else in the universe. Or maybe she had another reason. Every flower in our garden was her creation. Sharon was supposed to take care of the flowers, and I was supposed to become a pilot. At least, that was my dream. The next moment, I was holding a telescope. The eye of truth became one with me, and my hearing sharpened. I could see and hear everything happening among the bushes, right by the cave. Waves crashed against the rocky cliffs, spilling into the dark cavern beyond. On one of the rocks, I spotted Federation guards. It looked like an ambush. 2 uniformed figures called out, "Commander?" Then, the taller one shouted, "Hands up! Are there any children in there?" pointing his weapon toward the cave. "The children are safe," someone replied. "Surrender. Where are the children?" "We know they're with you." "I saved them. They were already very weak," the voice answered defensively. "Don't try anything stupid. Do you have hostages?" "I only saved them. They wanted to surface on the other side of the rocks, but they ran out of oxygen. They got stuck in a crevice. They're right beside me, alive. They'll confirm everything. Stand down." "Officer, do not resist. You have the right to remain silent." "I also have the right to defend myself. I am a citizen of the Federation." The telescope lens fogged up, and in the distance I heard thunder. I grabbed my mother's hand and felt the cold coin she always held. I looked around again. There was still no sign of Ethar and Paris. A wave of fear crept in. Had something happened to them? A sudden burst of lightning interrupted the conversation in the distance. I saw the uniformed officer standing on the rock, arms raised, before dropping to his knees. He looked familiar. I adjusted the telescope to focus on the beach by the cliffs. There, just meters behind the captured man, Ithar and Paris were crouching. They looked terrified, afraid to move. They must have all emerged from the cave earlier, but I had missed it. The guards fired a laser shot at the suspect, instantly neutralizing him and trapping him inside a protective energy bubble. He looked as if he were encased in a shimmering cocoon. Maybe one day he'll break free from it like a butterfly, I thought. For now, he was most likely facing trial. A shiver ran down my spine. The guardians of the legacy ran toward the boys. "Are you hurt? Did this man capture you?" one of them asked. Glancing at each other, they responded almost simultaneously. "He saved us." Megan was on the beach, watching over us. "Mom, I don't know what this man did, but I think we're safe now." "Meg, we'll go get the boys and head home immediately." "What will happen to him, Mom?" "He'll be interrogated. Sweetheart, they might send him to a colony, but like any Earthborn, he would probably want to return home. There's nothing more beautiful than coming home." Back then, I didn't fully understand the meaning of her words or why that man would want to return. I moved my eyes away from the telescope and saw a single tear rolling down my mother's cheek. She quickly wiped it away, thinking I was still focused on my observation. The guard signaled to us that the boys will be escorted home. The shells are calling us, my love. It's time to go. The aurora has completely faded. We shouldn't waste time. Snowflake, our beloved husky, began barking, not at the captive, but at the guards. He acted as if he recognized the man and wanted to drive the others away. "Snowflake, heel! Come back right now, Snowflake!" I shouted at him. The last scheduled spaceship landing for today began just as another strong gust of wind swept across the shore. I peeked through the telescope again and saw the captured officer floating in midair, sealed inside the energy bubble. Another rainbow flare appeared in the sky, followed by the glowing silhouette of a spaceship descending onto the water platform. Then, darkness fell around us. I quickly grabbed my pink cup. My mother pulled me by the arm, and my castle collapsed into the sand. She pressed her palm against mine, and inside it lay the coin she had always carried. One side bore the sun, while the other depicted two moons. Suddenly, I snapped back to reality aboard the Archon. A message flashed on the main screen. "Aria, wake up." Captain Lee Everest pressed something on the bridge console, and a metallic voice rang out. "Life signs detected below deck. Heartbeat and breathing stable." "Aria, are you all right? Aria, wake up." Slowly, Lee's face came into focus. I was lying on my side. Beneath me, a thin crack of light spread across the floor, as if ice were fracturing beneath me. "Aria, activate all life support systems. Come back to us. Restore full power," the captain ordered. "Eagle, let's lift her up to relieve the protective layers." "Captain, is the floor cracking?" Eagle squealed. "Feathered Croaker, calm down." "That's impossible. Maybe it's something from outside. Give me the location. Galactic Crossroads. That's where we are." "A junction, Captain. The Earth patrols might find us," Eagle whined. "You're the most out of touch of us all. You have nothing to worry about." "I've had enough of your mocking. We could both end up as exhibits on Earth. Captain, what about Aria?" "She's stable, but she might have entered hibernation." "That's impossible," Eagle muttered in disbelief. "Clearly there's still much we don't know about her." "Take care of Aria. I'll check the crack's path." The captain lifted me like a child. In that moment, I felt something I had never felt before. Something unusual. It was like being born again. Could what happened on Earth have been just a dream? "Eagle?" "Yes, Captain." "Aria is overloaded." "What happened to me?" I asked, stunned. "You were gone for a moment, but we lost consciousness too for some time. We'll explain later," the captain said curtly. "Functionality at 100%. I can join you." I didn't want anyone to sense my weakness or discover where I had been. "All right, let's go together. And you, Hunter, keep an eye on the bridge. Make sure we don't have a repeat of what happened before the jump. We should have lost our tail, but let's be sure." "Lose our tail, fine. Understood," Eagle concluded. As I stepped between Lee and the officer, I took a step forward, and the crack in the floor moved along with me. The captain instinctively jumped back, fearing a hull breach, but I reassured him with a touch, a gesture of tenderness only humans on Earth used. Suddenly, I knew how to do that. "Captain, please let me go alone. This might be connected to my dream," I said, stopping his reflex to follow. It was my first dream, if I could call it that. Lee hesitated, but eventually released my fingers, as if reluctant to let me go. He glanced at the palm of his hand. There, for a fleeting moment, was the mark of the sun of suns. On my palm, he saw 2 moons encircled by a ring, his eyebrows arched in silent question. "Are you sure?" "Yes, my programming tells me so. Take a weapon and be careful." "I'll manage," I replied confidently. The crack on the floor was getting thinner, leading straight toward the wall. "Requesting transfer beyond this wall." "Take a hyperspace ID. We can't afford to lose you." "I have it. I'll check it out." In a nanosecond, I vanished from the bridge and instantly found myself in a sphere about 3 meters in diameter, located somewhere below the main deck. All around me, numerous control panels pulsated with colorful lights. "Intruder!" My circuits blared in alarm. A warning flashed. Someone unidentified was on board. Meanwhile, Lee had taken the risky decision to locate the source of the crack on his own. It would be best if I returned to him intact. Through the ceiling, I could feel what he was doing. I could almost reconstruct the path of his thoughts. He was analyzing the marks on our hands. The images of the sun and moons had disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. Lee considered the possibility that he was hallucinating. Like me, he wondered if he had fallen victim to an illusion. He also entertained another possibility: espionage. Nothing was more terrifying than a spy and a smuggler, suspecting others of smuggling. A vicious cycle. After years in space, your location no longer matters. Only the mission does. And that makes suspicion and distrust your second nature. "Transfer to the main corridor," I ordered. Suddenly, I materialized in front of Lee, who was struggling, restrained by some stranger who looked like a ninja in a black bio-spacesuit. A 2-meter-tall intruder had his back turned to Eagle, unaware of the situation. Our avian companion had once again taken the upper hand. He stood right behind the intruder, blending seamlessly into the main screen, thanks to his camouflage abilities. His legs were hidden behind the control panel, while his torso merged with the darkness of space displayed on the screen. His camouflage instinctively activated in moments of danger, just in time. The survival instinct of birds might just save us. Eagle, however, was trembling underneath. I could feel his shaking reverberate through my core. Something had broken today. Not just the floor, something inside me, like an imprint of the past on my palm, which now seemed warm with blood. For a brief moment, I felt as though the blood of Earth's ancestors was flowing through me.
End of Chapter 2.
Great stories leave a mark, and so do great decisions. My time-limited collection is here now. Tomorrow, maybe not. Don't overthink it. Don't wait. Click the link now to claim your NFT.